Hi, everyone. Well, if you found yourself here, you, I assume you're a Kiss fan if you found yourself here, uh, like I am. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I just recently read a few days ago, only took me a couple days to read, really quick read, audio book of Face the Music, Paul Stanley's autobiography. And uh, Floss, my friend Floss at the Grape Jelly Library, turned me on to this book last Monday. She was on the live show at Monday Night Live with Alan and Greg. And at the end, I don't know how we got on the topic, but uh, she mentioned how great she enjoyed his autobiography, and I'd never listened to it. She sent me this T-shirt, by the way, last year. It has nothing to do with this, but yeah, Floss has become a good friend of mine. So I wanted to mention that. Also, before I get into the book, there's a link below of this comedian, Craig Gass, and he does this impersonation of Gene Simmons that is crazy, and he's got a funny story about Howard Stern. I mean, if you're a fan of Kiss, you've probably heard of this guy, but if not, it's worth a listen. Link below, and link below to Floss's channel too. She's got my favorite library on BookTube. So I want to reminisce a wee bit here. A friend of mine in like fourth or fifth grade, Carrie Ammons turned me on to Kiss Alive, the live album, and we listened to that in his room just constantly. And his favorite was Gene Simmons. Floss's is Gene too. My favorite was Peter Criss, the drummer, because I was a drummer back then. Still am. I just don't have a drum kit. I've got a few drums. There's one, a Sue drum. It's a drum. But anyway, so we all had our favorites and that. And I was lucky enough to see him live, once with makeup, once without, both in like Toledo, Ohio. So the book starts out with, this is going to be a big spoiler that even I didn't know, being a big fan of the band, that Paul Stanley was born without an ear and is deaf in his right ear. And when he was growing up, all his kids around him would call him Stanley, the one-eared monster. That's his real name was Stanley. I forget the last name, but his first name was Stanley. So that made a really a grim impression on him as a kid. That he was led. I don't want to make it sound real bad for Paul Stanley, and let's all cry for Paul Stanley. But they had it. They came from nowhere, out of Queens, New York, and it's funny how Gene and Paul are similar in a lot of ways, but then totally different in a lot too. And they started out different as well. Now I knew that Gene was the only kid and worshipped his mother and a real mama's boy. They were both of their parents were Jewish immigrants to the country, so they grew up being proud Americans. And what else? Let's see. Whereas Gene has never taken a drink of alcohol or smoked tobacco or let alone marijuana, Paul, I think, tends to like his wine and that. And when he was a kid and teenager growing up, liked the marijuana a lot. So they differ on that regard. They're both like out of this normal realm as like sex addicts. Basically, it's kind of bizarre, but especially Gene, he's notorious for it. But so I learned that, and I knew the band had troubles with. I just spent about an hour listening to old Kiss Alive and some drunk Ace Frehley, which is kind of hard to watch. Ace drunk on stage telling boring, dumb jokes and just being drunk. And then Peter Criss was a decent drummer at first, but then went really downhill and got on a big ego trip. I mean, it's hard not to get on an ego trip being like Kiss, but they, from early on, they were starting to have problems with Peter and Ace, the guitar player and the drummer, primarily due to drugs and alcohol. And Paul and Gene were the primary songwriters. Although it is interesting, they did solo albums in the midst of their career. The notorious four different solo albums with the different colors and their faces on the covers. Aces did the best out of all of them. And then also one of their biggest hits was Beth, if you remember that. That's Peter Criss. But towards the end, it was just impossible to work with those two. And so he gets into that in the book. Really interesting. And it gets into Paul's, Paul started seeing a psychiatrist early on. He had a lot of worries and anxieties. And so that part of the book's interesting and how he overcame that and overcame his issues with women. And he, for lack of a better word, really got taken, believe it or not, got taken advantage of by more than a couple women financially and other ways as well. You think it'd be the opposite, but not. He had a lot of insecurities, Paul did. But, don't cry for me, Paul Stanley. Let's see. So if you're a Kiss fan, you'll love this book. He repeats himself a lot. The old pull your boots, yourself up by your boots strap story and work ethic, and which you can't deny him that. Paul Stanley, hard working. He college dropout, deaf in one ear, makes a career out of music. Gotta hand it to the guy. So you'll like it, trust me. So until next time, I think that's about it. I know I'm leaving a lot out. Unscripted. I'm always constantly going, I should have said that. Should I do it over? Not. So if you like this content, like, subscribe, make a comment. If you're a Kiss fan, I'll get back with you. So thanks. Talk to you later. Oh, I want to show you this. Now, y'all might think you know who I'm going to vote for president, but here's a surprise. All right, take care, y'all.